Start it.
Hey guys, Erik Skopil, Kevin Wade here at DuckTerritory.com, breaking down practice 4, which it turns out will be the last thing we'll be able to attend until April. Tomorrow's practice is closed. They will be completing their 5th practice before taking 2 weeks off. They'll then come back on April 2nd to complete the last 10 practices. And we do have a piece of news here. Maybe we don't want to drop it quite yet, but there might be a practice in Portland coming up, and that news should be coming out
very soon.
Very soon. So keep an eye on for that. If you're up in Portland, there's should be an opportunity this spring to watch the Ducks play. So that's kind of an exciting thing.
Some good news for the Portland fans who
today's practice was in full pads, first time.
You broke out. I think they call it the hamburger drill or Oklahoma drill.
Yeah,
I think it's got a different name. Whoever you ask.
Some sort of pseudo Oklahoma drill that we didn't have great view
offensive
of.
lineman versus defensive lineman, or offensive player, because they do secondaries against each other. With a running back trying to block, create a hole. Pretty interesting to watch. I think the big standouts that I was able to see, Malasala, Moavelalu.
Great pronunciation.
Yeah, butchered it. Fantastic. But Malasala, Salah the Beast. We'll just go with the Twitter name because I can say that.
Sure.
Had a really good rep. Jordan Scott, first rep, had another great. I think it was the first rep overall of the drill.
Right.
And the team just went crazy because he just absolutely broke down that block. A few others, Dawson Jaramillo, Ryan Walk. We all saw do some good stuff.
Some of it was obstructed, so what we're giving you is what we were able to actually see through a sea of bodies, because they did have players watching and stuff. But it was a fun drill to watch. I think the fact that there was contact, that people were actually running into each other, knocking people over, that the players were very, very excited. A lot of celebration,
a lot of energy. I think actually out of all the practices I've seen, the 4th one, this had the most energy of the 4. I think it's just been slowly ramping up, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Those guys seem really hyped up to be able to hit.
Some injury stuff here from today.
CJ
Verdell was once again sidelined because of hamstring tightness. I really wouldn't worry too much about it long term, but something to keep an eye on. Obviously, again, their 2-week break.
They've been kind of rotating who is that first back.
Yeah, they're rotating between Travis Dye and Cyrus Abibakio with CJ banged up, so that's something to kind of keep an eye on. I think Cyrus was the first team today.
Travis the other day.
Yeah, Cale Millen was back at quarterback. He had been sick with a stomach bug. I missed Wednesday's practice, but he was back throwing, so some good news there if anyone was concerned, which I don't think there really was cause for concern. I'm trying to think of other guys that were injured. J.J. Tucker and Brian Addison were both sidelined for at least a part of practice today with the apparent injuries. Isaiah Crocker was also knocked out, so there's a couple guys that are...
Addison was there early in practice.
Yeah, it looked like he might... we don't want to talk about the specifics of what we saw, but it looked like he might have gotten dinged up in the middle of practice. It didn't look anything overly serious.
Or just needed to go stretch. Who knows?
Yeah, but he at one point went off and did some stuff. So that was sort of somewhat notable. I think defensively they did go through once again. Their 11-man first and second teams, and they worked with their nickel today. And Verone McKinley is a guy who I think a lot of people are excited about around this program. He was the first team nickel. He's a guy who I think Oregon fans should know this fall. I expect to be playing quite a bit.
Yeah, he played a decent amount as a freshman early on.
But he redshirted because he didn't play after the first 4.
Played the first 4 games, but actually got a lot of work in those games, then decided to redshirt. Interesting to see him starting to get in the mix and hearing his name at a position that no matter what, someone's going to need to step up this year.
Right. Ugo Amadi played a lot of that last year. There's a question here about where was Cam McCormick today. He was here. I just finished speaking with him probably 5 minutes ago. He was here. We'll have a full story on him. Also spoke with Bobby Williams, Tyler Shuck, Jake Hansen,
Alex Mirabal, Jovan Bonight. First time we got to hear from Coach Bo, as he's known.
Justin Herbert was also up there.
Justin Herbert was
we'll have a bunch of content from that. But if you're concerned about where Cam McCormick was, he was right here. We watched him practice. He also did interviews afterwards, so there's no concern about that.
He
was playing tight end, and if that's a question about where he was in the depth chart, I don't think he was with the first or second team today, right?
I do not believe so.
But tight end depth, probably something we should talk about. I think it's one of the deeper groups on the team, and they're rotating through about 5 or 6 guys right now, and that doesn't even include Patrick Herbert, who's arriving after this break.
Just quickly, what has been your one biggest takeaway?
I think depth, just in general across the board, has been much better than it was last year.
Got 4 practices down, and the depth, it just looks.
Well, it just looks better because you watch them go through drills, and they're actually able to have multiple guys who are on scholarship take part in the reps.
There's still safety, cornerback. You're still a little thinner.
Safety's better. Corner's not great. That's a good point.
It's a little thinner
because Thomas Graham and Diamante Lenore are right now the only scholarship corners besides Verone McKinley.
Mikhail Wright comes in a few weeks, and you bring in DJ James.
If you didn't see the report we had on the site, Khalif Felici, who had been playing corner last year, played all 13 games, is now playing safety. So there's a little bit of movement there. That's probably the one area right now where you're kind of feeling like, it'd be good if they had a couple more bodies. But you look at the linebackers, the defensive line, Again, tight end, wide receiver, offensive line. Quarterback is probably a little shallow. They have 3 guys. Running back is actually probably more shallow than they would be expected to be.
I mean,
but just
all
overall,
the guys are healthy,
but just overall, they
backs
have
and
more
your
guys on campus practicing, looking good. I think the freshmen have looked good too.
Yeah, they're going to bring in a handful. They're bringing in Micah Pittman, Mikhail Wright, and Patrick Herbert, and Camden Lewis, the kicker. Can't forget about the kickers. They'll be bringing them in starting next week or after the little break. Yeah. So that will be interesting
April
to see
2nd, first practice back.
How they get some action in. My biggest takeaway is the size difference. I think this is the first full year that Cristobal has been able to work in that fourth quarter program for the Ducks, and you can definitely tell there is a difference. There is a size difference.
Question from Matthew. No idea on the format for the spring game. I mean, last year I don't think they knew the spring game format until like a couple days before.
Yeah,
so
day of it.
That's going to be one of those things where we're probably waiting, I would imagine, up until middle of April, probably that week of, before we have a real good idea on what that.
It was interesting to see the spring game last year where they went basically ones on ones, and then twos on ones, vice versa, all that. I think that was an interesting format, different than the Ducks are used to, where they draft and kind of split up. It was good to see the full teams go against each other.
Yeah, so that'll be something we'll keep an eye on here. And again, this was, unfortunately, it felt like a quick taste, but our last glimpse of Oregon practice before they go on a 2-week break. They will be back on April 2nd, and then we'll have full coverage for the final 10 practices of spring. Erik Skopil, Kevin Wade, DuckTerror.com. Check us out, subscribe, and we will talk to you guys later.
Yeah.